Welcome to our 6 p.m. edition of Arirang News. It's Tuesday, October 1st, Armed Forces Day here in South Korea. I'm Song Yujin, coming to you live from our studio in Seoul. We begin with our coverage of South Korea's Armed Forces Day, commemorating the 76th anniversary of the founding of the Republic of Korea Armed Forces. On this day, President Yoon said South Korea will build peace through military strength as North Korea's nuclear development and weapons of mass destruction threaten the nation's security. Now, this came as the military launched a new command to deter the North. Our presidential office correspondent Oh Soo-young starts us off.
The North Korean regime will come to an end the very day it attempts to use nuclear weapons. President Yoon issued this warning Tuesday as he observed Armed Forces Day in an airbase south of Seoul and launched a new strategic command to curb North Korea's nuclear threat and weapons of mass destruction.
더욱 단단해진 한미 동맹을 토대로 끊임없이 노력한 결과 마침내 우리 군의 첨단 재래식 능력과 미국의 확장 억제 능력을 통합하는 전략사령부를 창설하게 됐습니다.
The new unit will exercise integrated control over South Korea's key military assets, including the Hyunmoo series of ballistic missiles, stealth fighter jets, and 3,000-ton submarines. Building strength, the president said, is the only way to safeguard peace, not relying on the goodwill of the enemy. He further noted how North Korea has recently carried out low-level provocations, such as sending waste-carrying balloons over the border, conducting GPS jamming attacks, and engaging in illegal arms exchanges with Russia. He urged the North to abandon its delusion that nukes would ensure the regime's survival.
우리 군은 강력한 전투 역량과 확고한 대비 태세를 바탕으로 북한의 도발을 즉각 응징할 것입니다. 만약 북한이 핵무기 사용을 기도한다면 우리 군과 한미 동맹의 결연하고 압도적인 대응에 직면하게 될 것입니다. 그날이 바로 북한 정권 종말의 날이 될 것입니다.
Yoon further said Washington is putting into action its extended deterrence policy of coming to the aid of its allies under nuclear or conventional attack, noting that a US strategic nuclear submarine visited South Korea for the first time in 4 decades, and a B-52 strategic bomber landed on the Korean peninsula for the first time. Based on Seoul and Washington's alliance, Yoon also vowed to strengthen trilateral security cooperation with Japan. As Armed Forces Day marks the day in 1950 when South Korea, as part of the United Nations Command, advanced into North Korea during the Korean War. Yoon thanked soldiers, veterans, US Forces Korea, and the UN Command for their service to this day. The president expressed his trust in the strong posture of the armed forces, calling on Korean citizens to support those defending the country to preserve peace through strength. Oh Soo-young, Arirang News.
And during a massive ceremony and a military parade that took place to celebrate the annual Armed Forces Day here in South Korea, the South Korean military unveiled its Hyunmoo-5 missile, the country's most powerful ballistic missile yet. Peunji reports.
Thousands of people gathered in downtown Seoul on Tuesday as this year's Armed Forces Day military parade took place, involving over 3,000 troops. The country's aerobatic flight team, the Black Eagles, flew over the Gwanghwamun Square to celebrate the annual event. Earlier in the day, a separate ceremony was also held in Seoul, showcasing the country's latest weapon systems. Among them was the Hyunmoo-5 ballistic missile, unveiled to the public for the first time. Capable of carrying one of the world's largest warheads, weighing up to 8 tons, it's powerful enough to hit an enemy's underground bunker at a depth of 100 meters or more. The missile is a key asset of the Korea Massive Punishment and Retaliation Plan, part of the country's 3-axis defense system, that involves striking the North in retaliation for the regime's nuclear attack. The military started to develop the Hyunmoo-5 in 2016, right after North Korea's 4th nuclear test, aimed at targeting the regime's command center in case of a nuclear attack from the North.
The size, all of that is impressive, but what I was impressed with was the way that the erector launcher was able to move sideways. if you notice very closely, the wheels enable it to move sideways, which is not easy. So it was a good showcase of capabilities.
The release of Hyunmoo 5 is likely to send a strong warning to North Korea, which has been engaging in a series of provocations, including the recent test of a new tactical ballistic missile that was equipped with a 4.5-ton warhead. Also on Tuesday, the US B-1B bomber was seen flying over Seoul Airport, making it the first time that the American strategic bomber has taken part in the Armed Forces Day ceremony. The bomber, dubbed the Swan of Death, can carry up to 57 tons of munitions and can fly at Mach 1.25, meaning that it could reach Pyongyang from Guam in just 2 hours. North Korea strongly criticized the bomber's participation, threatening that it will take retaliatory measures. 배은지, Arirang News.
On the international front, Japan's parliament today officially elected Shigeru Ishiba as the country's new prime minister, succeeding Fumio Kishida, who resigned. The 67-year-old veteran politician and former defense minister has become Japan's 102nd prime minister after winning the ruling party leadership race last week. Ishiba is set to hold a press conference later on Tuesday following his formal appointment by the emperor at the imperial palace. The South Korean government congratulated Ishiba and expressed Seoul's intention to build a stronger cooperative relationship with Tokyo in all areas, including security, economy, and global issues. Shifting our focus to the Middle East, it appears that Israel has launched its widely expected ground offensive in Lebanon after weeks of escalating tensions in the region. The Israeli military says it has begun a, quote, limited ground operation early Tuesday, targeting Hezbollah in southern Lebanon. Yoon has the details.
Loud explosions were reported across Beirut, Lebanon's capital, early Tuesday, as the Israeli military announced the start of targeted ground raids. In a statement released on Tuesday, the military indicated that the Israel Defense Forces had begun limited, localized, and targeted ground raids against Hezbollah positions in the southern Lebanon border area. According to Israel, the operation, dubbed Northern Arrows, is focused on targets in villages near the border that pose an immediate threat to northern Israel. The Lebanese militant group on Monday vowed to continue its fight against Israel, pledging support for the Palestinians and asserting that its forces are prepared for a ground engagement if Israeli troops enter by land. This statement comes in the wake of Israel's recent airstrike in Beirut that killed Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah and other senior figures. Amid the escalating tensions between Israel and Hezbollah, Israel's attack on Lebanon have killed over 1,000 people in the past 2 weeks. According to the Lebanese Prime Minister, these attacks have also displaced more than 1 million people in Lebanon. Israeli officials have stated that the ground assault will not lead to a long-term occupation. However, it remains unclear how deep the operations will go or how long they are expected to last. Yoon, Arirang News.
Now to the domestic front, South Korea's exports remained strong in September, rising 7.5% from a year ago, marking 12 consecutive months of year-on-year growth. According to the Trade Ministry on Tuesday, exports hit $58.7 billion last month. Now, average daily exports adjusted for the number of working days reached a record high for any September at $2.9 billion. Breaking it down by sector, outbound shipments of 6 items were up, including semiconductors, wireless communication devices, and computers. Exports of semiconductors, particularly the country's largest export item, set a new all-time high since records began, reaching $13.6 billion, a 37% surge from last year. And that's all we have for today here at Arirang News. Thank you for tuning in. And Arirang News will be back tomorrow at 9 a.m. Korea time with New Day at Arirang.